Hey everyone, Ranak everybody, as we say. So let's wait a couple seconds to check does the stream is started. If there are someone at the stream, please write. Did you hear me? Did the picture smooth? So yep, everything is go live. So we continue to talk and work with the model of Lego F1 car. It contains about 100 of parts, and we will try to create a fine, detailed hexa-core mesh for this object. On a previous live, I showed the link to the model, to the grab card, where you can download this object. Maybe it's better to show yet another time. So on a grab card, by asking in search Lego Williams, you can find this Lego Williams made by a driver, and we work with this model. So this is a model on the grab card, and here our model in Ansys. Say hello to audience. Just a moment, I not see. Yep, everything okay, but workbench is still starting. Okay, let's wait. My fluffy helper say hello to all audience. And now move, please. Please move. So, just a moment. And it's still opening. It's still opening because the model is very huge. It contains a lot of parts, and it's more important that a lot of faces and edges, so you need even some time to open this model. That's why we will work only with sub-modeling. In some sort of sense, we will open a subassembly and work with the object. On the previous stream we finish only one part, so today when it will open, we try to not show so much different options of creating mesh and so on, but to create the mesh in direct way. Unfortunately, the live stream have one problem, because you can't set the stream on a speed something like with double speed. So we need, unfortunately, to do it with the real time speed. And sometimes I'm slow, sometimes computer and software. Sorry for that. So, if you have a question, or if you have a possibility to write a comment about the sound and the picture, please do it with YouTube or Twitch comments. So, yep, it's already open. Almost. Now we're detecting a mesh, detecting a contact. That's one of the reasons why on a previous video I say that it's more sufficient way to open different sub-assemblies and then to create mesh assembly inside of the Ansys workbench. But we need to work with all objects first of all. So let's start edit. Yep, it's almost done. There are no comments. Okay, that's bad, but it's okay. So the main quality and the main skill which CAE engineer and FEM analyst must have, it's a patience. Because sometimes he needs a lot of time to wait. To wait while it open, to wait while it meshing, to wait while it computing, to wait while it open result and produce. So something like that. Okay, the full model is open. It had on a previous stream it was some problem, and we must create additional options and open only the geometry, because when we mesh full model it creates a mesh, but after that it collapses. So we will work with the different model, which is one of the part, it's sub-assembly. We will work with this front and left wheelbase. Sometimes I can say wrong English words, sorry for that. It's a chassis, but I think most of the people can understand. Unfortunately, English, it's not my native language and I have some experience, as you can see, but when you work with your brain, when your head starts hitting, sometimes you can do some mistakes. So on the previous stage we take a look for this simple part. If this part contain only this cross section, it mesh in a very simple way, but in result of presence this additional elements. It don't want to mesh in a good hexa-core mesh by the default, so we during couple hours take a look for different methods of creating this hexa-core mesh with sweeping, with merging nodes, with different multi-zones, with slicing this model into some parts, with bonded contact, and etc, etc, and etc. For now, we have the fully only hexa-core mesh, as you can see, and it's not bad. In the sense of meshing, it's mostly the good quality, and even those elements which is not very good, first of all, not very important, and second, because we use the second order hexa, it's not so bad. So we can obtain here the good result, and even if it's not very common way, we can increase in some places some mesh settings and improve the quality of the mesh if we need. So let's work with the other parts. And let's take a look to this one. So we suppress all other body, and as you can see, it's also not very complex as every model in this project, but we can't create a mesh by default with the hexa. It will create a tetrahedral mesh. Yep, something like that. Okay, maybe we will try to do some automatic multi-zone, but I think it will not produce anything. Oh, not really good, but yep, it worked. That's good. These elements are very bad, but it produced in automatic way, so it's not so bad variant. Let's think, can we create a better mesh? So we will open the geometry. Okay, that's good. That multi-zone create maybe not perfect, but good enough. Also, we can produce the mesh settings like, for example, 1 millimeters with the size, and take a look while the discovery is opening. Can we create better mesh with some additional options? So nope, unfortunately 1 millimeter creates fine mesh here, not very bad mesh here, but unfortunately it creates the problematic mesh here. So where our discovery? Here our discovery. Okay, that's good, because I feel some fear when I don't see the geometry. But it's FEArytales, so it's okay. So, first of all, we need to split this object with those two faces and with those cylindrical face. Let's start. Split the body with those. With the control this face. And this face. I don't know why it's freezing, but okay. So we obtain some results. What we need to additionally do, Ctrl Z, and let's split with those cylindrical objects. Okay, that's better. And now we need to do some additional creations. I need this edge, and I want to select this edge, but it won't. Okay, can I select a point? Maybe we will do it later. Okay, then this and this edge, this and this edge. So we can simply split it here, but I don't want it to do this way, and I don't get why it's not splitting fully. Sorry. Why it's not split? It split it. Oh, it forgot. Okay. Now it's better. So this one, and now let's hide this object to select those, and now to select those. And also we need to select those objects. So yet another, this edge and this edge. So now we have all edges. Show all. Split body. Select bodies to split, and now let's start splitting. So almost everything is fine. Unfortunately, no. That's better. Okay. Sometimes it's present, but okay, first look will sometimes be imaginary and with the error. I hope everything will be the same, but unfortunately, maybe in reason of modeling error, maybe in reason of the geometry, which is built in some way, we have some misalignment. Maybe we can do it in another way. Just a moment. Show all. So let's create here this one, and now let's create a sketch. Okay, let's create a sketch to this point and to this point, to this point and to this point, then to this and this. When you see how many movements you need to create a fine hexa-core mesh, sometimes you even can think why I need so many movements. Maybe the tetrahedral mesh is much better, and sometimes this opinion can be even reasonable, but sometimes if you use the tetra mesh, you will have much more problem. So sometimes you need to do that. So let's learn it on the complex geometry. Okay, so here some problem. This edge is we don't need. Hi Jose, glad to see you. So something like that. I need to select, oops, just a moment. I need to select every curve. So I select all curves and I create something like that. Now we can switch it on and let's try to split it. So maybe it can be more simple solution to combine everything into one part. And split it another way. So this object, and we try to split with those faces. No, unfortunately, it won't. Okay, let's use those faces. It will create a lot of small pieces, unfortunately, and we need to heal these pieces later. But now we will create slice on the place we need. So just a moment. Look like everything we have okay. So yep, we can split by cross, not this cross, but we will do it later. So combine this object plus this object. When we select with the control key, it combine it. Why it thinks so long, I don't know. Why cutter? So, oh, I understand. Oh, that's why. Oh, God. So, now I get it. Very interesting splitting of geometry. Yep. And yet another one. All this place we don't plane we don't need. Just a moment. Okay, so combine this object and plus these objects. Okay, this object plus this object. This big object plus these small objects. Okay, that's better. Now, combine this plus this plus this. Sometimes it's more simple way to split not on a discovery or space claim, but on your native card, because, for example, SolidWorks have possibility to split with them complex shaped sketch So if you have the license for the SolidWorks and your geometry created in SolidWorks, maybe it will be more simple way to do some split in the SolidWorks. But when you split in the parametrical CAD system, you will have another type of the problem, which connected with the parametrics and history. So every operation need much more time than in direct modeling. So now we split it this way, and now we can split those two objects with those plane and those two objects with those apps with those plane. And now we can split everything what we have with the this plane, this face, with this face, and with this face. So now we create fully hexa object, and let's check this in our Ansys. So prepare, share, let's share everything. Yep. Return to the original object and return here. So when I teach my students, I have a recommendation for them to mesh split geometry with the mesh preference 3 or 4 elements per the age. It's not for creating good mesh, but for creating understanding, do we split our geometry in the right way, or does we have some problem with splitting not connected objects and so on. Some objects are not hexahedral, etc., etc. So, as we say, it's not very big needs to create such detailed split, because we already see that Ansys create multi-zone mesh even for this wall object which is not splitted. But when we split in some object, we sometimes can obtain more simple geometry, and we can obtain more adequate the quality of the mesh by even the same multi-zone method. So let's return to the mesh. We don't need to these objects, and we need to create preference. Let's do as I say for the student. So we will create not 0.5 or 1 millimeter. Let's create number of divisions and 4. and generate mesh. So with these meshes we can check our geometry and we can see that everything is splitted, but some place have the prism wedge mesh, so sometimes we can add additional preferences. To create more fine mesh. Yep, it create, but unfortunately not in any place because those triangular face it doesn't want to create. Okay, then let's try another things. Let's element size and create something like 1 millimeter. For mesh which will be more adequate to calculation with this task. And as you can see, we obtain unfortunately no, it's yep, we obtain the full hexa-core mesh, and those tree and quad, it don't came from this part, it came from the where it is, from this surface which was used only for splitting our object, so it's no matter for us. And we simply must delete this object inside our discovery or space claim, and everything will be fine, but not everything. Unfortunately, I see one big error and it's very strange. Just a moment. I see here the problem with the mesh. And it's strange because it must be splitted on the way we will have the same situation like here. So we have here the two edges and two faces. Yep. Shower topology doesn't work here well. Okay, it's strange situation, but it is possible. So what can we do? First of all, let's select those two objects. Let's rotate it 90 degrees. Not 90, 45. So let's unshare our topology. And it looks like it must glue it. But why it's not gluing? Okay. So we select this, and now we do additional splitting. Split body, thus bodies. With those. Plane, and we select this one. So if we continue to talk about why we need the hexa-core mesh, for example, maybe you had seen the video about how LS-DYNA cars crash with some bricks. It was created by LSTC company as the demonstration of possibility of LS-DYNA, and it was very, they create experiment, physical experiment, when they create like a car and put it on the wall, and when they repeat the same task, when they take the Lego car object and strike it in simulation in LS-DYNA. So and they demonstrate how it's similar to prove the quality of simulation and everything else. And if you will do for LS-DYNA the tetrahedral mesh, you will have a big problem. If you create pyramid mesh, it will ignore it in general. But when you create mesh with some hexa and some tetras, in most way, it creates all tetras, wedge prisms, pyramids, and hexa. So it will ignore the pyramid, it will split it into the hex mesh, it will have some problem with the prism mesh, and all this tetra mesh will create much more rigidity than in the real behavior. So it's much better to create the fully hexa mesh. And we can talk not only about the LS-DYNA and not only about creating a mesh for tool, not for tool, for toy car. These objects can give you information how to split, but then you can apply those understanding on more difficult objects from the real life, and it is very powerful and extremely useful skill and knowledge. So it is important. So we delete the surface which was used for splitting. We split this object. As I said previously, we can use those geometry to create the hexa mesh without creating a shared topology option, because we can create mesh with the same number of elements on different edges. And in reasons that all edges are connected, we obtain the mesh nodes in the same places, and we simply can merge this node to obtain the good quality mesh. But let's try to share topology and to check it yet another time. So everyday geometry. Okay, and now we have select not all edges. So let's reselect it and generate mesh. And now we have simply hexa-core mesh. And now everything looks fine except these 2 places. 4 places. It's not shared topology. But why? Why it not sharing topology? Okay. Yet another one time. Just a moment. Here we have the same problem or not. No, look like here. Yep, here we also have the same problem. Okay. Okay. Hide. And hide. No, there are no small surfaces here. And there are no, maybe, surfaces here. White works so in a different way. Okay, just another time. I increase the level of possible distance between the elements. Let's try to check update geometry from source. Apps, yep, sorry. Sorry. Let's return to that. So we have some problem here. And now it's so now we have two different ages. It's strange because just a moment. Two nodes. 2e minus 16. So the distance between those faces are not present, but unfortunately in some reason it's two different faces. Okay, just a moment. I want to create something like, oops, something like that. So It's a simple glitch. It's a simple glitch, as I can see, but it's not very. Why you show only here? Okay. Let's check. Does the fucker will be not drunk? And do our trick will finish with geometry? So everything in one part, that's good. And now let's check. The same old stuff. Ouch. Okay, here. It's not. It's not split. It's not create shared topology at all. So generate mesh. Okay, some tools are forgotten. Just a moment. Generate mesh. Not a merge. Mesh edit. Not the merge group. Select all bodies. O point cat. I don't see what I do. Sorry. Generate. Automatic merge 2000 of nodes. What happened? I enter full screen or what? Yep. 3 messages. Yep, 2000 nodes. That's bad. That means that our shared topology option, even all parts are present here as all bodies present here as one part, it doesn't create any shared topology at all. I firstly see the glitch like that. There are no problem. And yet another time, it shows only those ages. Okay, so I think it's glitch, and I create the geometry which simply look like a hexa core element. That's something new. That's something very new. So the mesh tolerance is 0.1 minus e minus 4, sorry. Let's do it this way, detect connection. Detect connection. Generate. And something new. Something very new, and I need to understand what's going on. If you know what's going on, please write a comment, because I don't know. For me, it's something tricky. So we can solve this problem in a very simple way. It's to mesh those objects. Select those objects. For example, here and here. I forgot something, but it will be enough to explain. So we select those edges. We can do it in a different way, in automatic way also. And we mesh those objects, those edges, with additional preferences. We must exclude it from this edge sizing, but we need to add edge sizing with 2 number of divisions, and then when we create those type of mesh, yep, for this object the nodes will now correspond each other. Also, we need to mesh these objects, as you can see. And oops. That's why when the company presents some materials, they use only the geometry which is proven and had used it a lot of times, and create a workflow which show no error to clients. Because the errors always create negative understanding, both about software and the quality of engineer that show something like that. But in real life, when we then try to use the software, even if we are experienced enough, we will see that sometimes, unfortunately, even the best software can glitch. Let's try to do something like that. So when I see the video where people open the model and everything works perfect, I understand that it's not a real work. It's not even demonstration. It's something like show. So we have for now fully hexa-core mesh, but unfortunately, even we create shared topology option. Even all objects are present inside of one part. We have a mesh with doubled nodes because they connected to different bodies. And this mesh needs the contact pairs to glue this behavior, but not the mesh without the contact and with the corresponding mesh to all objects. So, where it's a press. So, we create merge, and let's hope that everything will work fine. And now it merged only 216 nodes. One or not? 0. Just a moment. One node. Two nodes. One node. Okay, it's merged. That's good. Okay. So this is our mesh. The worst quality is for that elements. And as I say previously, for now it's the quadratic mesh with the second order element. But if we talk about the LSDyna as approach, we need to understand that our hexa element will have only 8 nodes, but not 20, because the LSDyna can work only with the linear hexa element. So, with those objects, everything done. Let's think something like that, and let's talk about another object. Let's copy. Sorry. Let's copy those objects to our main assembly. Because we do a lot of works with a lot of effort, with big amount of efforts. So the geometry I understand that this video is even more boring than all my other videos, but that's how the real work sometimes look like. So if you have a question not about the things you watch now and you see now, but about any other video from my channel or about computational mechanics, you can ask at the comments, and I will try to answer during our process. As you can see, we have some powders here, so it can be that's our object, as I understand. Let's change the name and put everything here. So it corresponds with the geometry, so we can delete the first one. And now all these objects here, here, and in all other places are splitted, so we can create the fine mesh. Okay, let's continue with other parts. Close this one, close this one, and let's select something more interesting. Let's select this object. Okay. So here on the mechanical Ansys, we can just a moment. Not create automatic contact and unsuppress all bodies. And this is our part. Suppress all other bodies. So let's try to work with this object. We delete mesh editing, mesh merge. Let's create a multi-zone preferences for this object. Previous object had created some automatic multi-zone mesh, and it was not very good, but it's okay. So let's check this one. Nope. We can't obtain, and that's good, because it means that people who can use not only the automatic tool can produce some additional money for themselves. So let's return to this one and let's think what we can do. First of all, I want to split this object with those face. Secondly, I want to split those objects I select with those face. And the third thing which I want to do, if we leave this object, we will obtain the very bad mesh here, so it's not a good solution. So we need to create an additional plane. We need to split those objects with those plane. And now it look like here. Okay, this one. So with this body and this angle came not to 0 at this one, because here we have tangency and here it doesn't have tangency, so this is not very good situation, but it's not the critical one. Also, we will split here and here. So show all bodies. Okay, let's select this one, hide all others. Maybe we need to create the plane like this one. $90, and now Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, move it to this place. Okay, so now we split our object with those and those plane. Additionally, we Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V. Nope. The distance, which is the distance? From this point to this point, we have 1.2. Okay, so move. $25. Yep. Okay, and now Split. This is much more difficult object. This is much more difficult, even if it's not very big, but it's a very, very difficult object. So something like that. I don't like this place. Maybe we will fix it later. Why don't want to split? Okay, it's splitted. So we have those objects which can be swept. It's difficult, but it can. Okay. Show everything else. And now we need to combine those objects. Like this one. Maybe not. Just a moment. Maybe we need to create axis, hide this object, and now we need to create additional planes. So we need this plane, and we need those two edges, those plane. And now those two edges, those plane. So we split those objects with those plane, those plane, those plane, and even those. So now we will combine those and those into one segment. And those object. Now it's the one. Now we combine those and those object, those and those, and we can produce this plane, for example, here, and here we can produce the circle H to split in those directions. We will not do for now it, but we can do it for create better mesh. So we select all this object and split it with those face and split with those face. So theoretically we have the object which can be meshed, and the only one place which I really don't like, it's not this sharp angle. It's also problematic geometry, but it's not the such problem like it was here when it was tangent, but it's this place. Let's select these objects and try to do some tricky split. So hide the lasers. We have those objects, and now this one and this one, please create blend face. This one and this one, please create a blend face. This one and this one. So this one and this one. And this one and this one. It's for this side. Now let's split those body with them. Yep, as you can see, we obtain two triangles. So this we'll use with this surface. As you can see, when it's only one face, it can be used for splitting. If it contains multiple faces, unfortunately, it not always can split. Oops. Yep. Okay. This object can be splitted with this face, and this object can be splitted with this face. So we split in those tricky way. Additionally, we do the same from this side. We create a blend face from this object to this object. from internal edge to external edge, from internal edge to external edge, and then repeat it here from this one to this one. And the last but not least, oops, yep. So now let's split this object with this face, this object with this face, this object with this face, and this object with this face, and this object with this face. Super. Show all. And now we need to combine this object with this one. Let's check it. Hide others. Yep, it looks like it must. Okay. Show all. And now let's split those objects with this face. So, and we can hide this object. Okay. And the things which we must obtain here is to connect not to connect, maybe to split or to connect. Just a moment, I need to understand. To connect. Okay, we must combine those and those. We must combine those and those. Those and those. Those and those. Yeah. So, this face we don't need already. And now let's hide all other bodies. So as you can see, these objects have the same topology. Yep, these faces are curved, but as you can see, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 edges, and here we can see the same 5 edges, and the same situation here and here. So it's tricky geometry, but it's the same. So I will not combine it here because it needs much more time, but we will on this side see will it work or not, or even we can do something like that. We can select this object, we can create 3 planes, and we can split. We must do it from the very beginning. We must split all this object with this and this plane. Oops. And we must to delete everything and only then split. So this approach give us it's not splitted. Okay. This approach give us much less force, but someone is dumb. Or work as slow slug in reason of live streaming. So we can create the mesh for this quarter, and then we can create symmetrical parts, and we will obtain the same type of mesh. So for these objects, just a moment. Hide. So for this and this and this object, we can use this splitting tool. And for example, this splitting tool. Okay, and when we talk about this body, we can provide this circle like this and circle like this. So we can select those for object and split it with this face and with this face. And now theoretically we have full splitted object. Let's check it. Does it look right? I will not create a share topology because it worked bad on a previous model. So let's save some time. Yeah, I know that is missing. It's not the problem. I know. Yep, we changed the object. You see, I know it. I understand it. Oh. We have couple instances. So suppress bodies, suppress body, and now let's create a mesh for this object. Oh, I don't split this object. Okay, I have see this. I forgot. Yep. Yep, I split it here, but it's split here. Okay, so what we can say, the most of the objects are splitted and can be meshed with the hex mesh. Now it has a very different number of elements and nodes, and it look ugly, but as you can see, this object create a good hexa mesh, not in the sense of shape, good, not in the sense of shape and element quality, but in the sense that it creates a hexa element for this type of object. But we have some object which is not splitted, and this object, as you can see, splitted in normal way and meshed with a hex element, but this object unknown. So let's check. Oh yeah, I understand. Hide all other bodies. It's in reasons that we have couple additional edges here. We have two faces here, And we have 3 faces here, so it's better to split this object on those place and on those place. But we can try to create a multi-zone. And maybe even with automatic preferences, it will create the hexa mesh. Yep. As you can see, it creates. So we can split it and obtain, but it creates. So yep, we need it to split here. And also, where I forgot, I don't split these objects, these 3 objects with this face. Okay, let's do it. So what we need is, I don't see it. Oh, yep, I see. Thus object with thus face. Yes. We can hide this object and then split this object with this face and this face. And I forgot something else, so I need to check. Just a moment. Look fine. Yep. Something like that. Oops. Show all. And return to the system. I start freezing even more than Ansys. Even it's summer and it's very hot. So my processor needs to have additional cooling. This is new object which we need to suppress. Okay. And now we will select all edges and apply sizing with 4 elements, or let's say 1 millimeter something like that. Let's generate mesh and let's see what it will do. The reason we mesh the cylindrical faces, sometimes our mesh cannot correspond on the bigger circle and on a smaller circle because the length of the circle is different. So when we split not by the number of elements but with the element size, sometime we can obtain not corresponding mesh. But as you can see, in most cases we have hexahedral mesh. We see here the tree and quad. Tree and quad, it's not important for us. It's the surface mesh, but I don't understand where it is. Oh, it's on the reason of the face which we not delete. Okay, yep, my fault. We need to move it here and we need to select these three faces and to delete them. But we also have a wedge and some wedges. No, we doesn't have pyramids, we have only some wedges. And let's try to check it. Oh, okay. So all wedges are present only for this part, this prism and this prism. And if we change some preferences or split this object yet another time, for example, we can split it like this one and then split it through wall model like this, we will obtain the fully quad mesh. But now we have just a moment, what we say, controls, can you show the list of number? No, it can't show, but we can see that these small two graphs, it's the number of wedge prism and everything else it's hex. So it's something like a 1% of this on this mesh, so it's not a very huge number of elements. It's about 4 or 5 elements, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's about 8 elements. And as you can see, this part meshed only with the hex mesh. So even without splitting, we can produce the same result here with changing some preferences. So we can obtain even the same number of elements, 400, without any 8 number of which elements. So, as I said previously, these objects are not have the perfect size, and maybe it's more important to create something like this one, 0.5 millimeters for the whole model, and with this preference it must create the better mesh in most case. So during we wait our mesh, I can say that we have a Discord channel. This Discord channel, as my biggest channel Saprobasny, is Ukrainian speaking mostly, but a lot of people, a lot of guys know English on the advanced level or on a basic level, so you can find the link in description to Discord server and join us, and we can talk about your question, about Ansys, about finite element analysis, about computational mechanics and so on. So it can be helpful for everyone. So something like that. Okay, let's simply check will it work with the shared topology or not. But with this part we end working, because as you can see we obtain the full hexa mesh, and the next step is to create not simply hexa-core mesh, but to create the hexa-core mesh which have good quality of elements, and it also needs some time. We need to create a mesh where every object have the same number of nodes on the edge and the same picture of elements on the faces. So we can or create margin nodes or something else to produce the good mesh. It needs some additional time. It's not very difficult when we create the fully hexa mesh. So we will stop here and came to another part. If you can send the comments into the chat, YouTube chat, maybe you are not old enough to this channel, maybe you subscribe only in the last couple days or couple minutes, and that's why YouTube doesn't give a permission. It's for creating some moderation and so on, so sorry for that, but you can join the Discord server, write about yourself, because I add people to this server with by my hand with the moderation. I do it because unfortunately my previous and my biggest channel a couple of years ago was not Ukrainian speaking but Russian speaking, and we now in the middle of war in result of Russian aggression. So I don't want to speak with the citizens from the country who try to kill us and who aggressively attack us without any reason. They say some dumb reason, but if you check carefully this information, you understand that all this reason are bullshit. And that's why I don't want to add anyone to server. But when we talk, you can find a lot of information additional, and you can ask question at the Discord. So this is our object. I need only one. Spread this. So let's try to create the mesh. From my point of view, the Ansys workbench can be used in this way. Ansys workbench and Ansys mechanical. And as you can see, it's have good power to create the parametrical hexa-core mesh with the splitting and so on. And we can see that, for example, here we have, nope, we doesn't have. We have the same number of nodes, but here it's different. So unfortunately, we have the same problem as on the previous model, when our shard topology didn't work well. Maybe because I push some button and I need to check it more carefully, but maybe simply it can't for some reason. The reason can be very different. For example, I can ban some features on the Windows Defender and firewall, or the Windows banned it, and I need to check and to take out restrictions. Sometimes it's present. I have this problem with multi-core with explicit tasks. And it's a very interesting situation when we do some fights with Windows. It shut down some of the components in which I can't use a multi-processor and HPC possibilities. And I need to find where it's disabled, enable it, and then can repeat. But we have good enough mesh. It's all hexa. It's simply all hexa. And if we play some time with the additional preferences, we will create not the simply good mesh, but the mesh which is corresponding one to another with the nodes on the edges and faces, on touching faces. So it will be the good one. The only things which we need to do is to put all this geometry int new component. Quarter. It will split them. It will not split. It will disable everything what we do in a workbench, but we stop working with this object and we then copy this object to another geometry, so it's not matter. And now we need to mirror this component twice with this. And with this plane. We need to, yep, and yep. So now we have the full object, which can be meshed. So we copy everything. Oh, I forgot, came out the mirror. Command. Hope it will not duplicate this object, but okay. We will check it later. Not here, but here. And this is our object. Open the component. We will not change the name of this in reason because we have the new components here. But where this component? Control C, copy and paste. And if I do something like that, Control C, Control E. Okay, I get it. So subassembly you can copy, but this type of information you can't. That's good, that's interesting. So let's do it in old way. Let's create and simply let's check. Yeah, we have only one object, that's good. So we put all these objects in a new component. And now we can using those mirror select those components. Okay, so and now change the mirror and copy yet another time boss component. As you can see, we don't split it to the finish, because for example here we not split the object, but it's enough to create the fine mesh in Ansys. So let's return to the phrase Ansys workbench, Ansys mechanical with in combination with splitting object in CAD system. You can do it by yourself in not only in space claim and discovery, not only in Ansys design modeler. You can do it with your own CAD system, and you can import those split objects or inside of space claim discovery to create shared topology and then put it in the Ansys, or you can import it directly in Ansys and create the mesh and then merge. It also can be a good variant, as you can see, and that's helped to create hexa-core mesh for almost any task with any type of complexity. But in reasons that in Ansys there are no possibility to create the mesh by your hand in some sort of things, yep, at present this tool, like where it is, this pull revolve, but it's inside of Ansys mechanical it's not very good. And if you use some other type of preprocessing, like for example Abacus pattern, FEMAP, Hyper, Works, ISOM, CFD, ANSA, and etc., you can create this mesh in interactive way, even in more simple variants, but very often it will be not parametrical, and you need to change everything and repeat it from the very beginning. But let's be honest, in Ansys mechanical, in Ansys workbench, if someone change the original geometry and thus split you do not in the same CAD system, not with the history but without history, for example in here in discovery and so on, I think it can be trick way, because in trick phase, because you will also need to repeat all this splitting from the beginning for all tasks, which is changed sometimes even I think it's spam. Just a moment. So if you need to have the hexa-core mesh for the object which is in design iteration, it can be a very tricky situation because you'll have some problem with that. So let's talk about this object. Oops, not this. Let's take it here. So this object, component open. So let's unsuppress all bodies, and let's leave our this component as well. So as we do it previously, we try to create the multi-zone mesh to understand can it produce the mesh in automatic way. We can't. It's not very complex, but we can't. So let's do some changes. First of all, I want to split it here. I don't know, does this and this face are on the same distance? And I don't know, does it important, unfortunately. So I hope it will. And if it not, maybe it's more simple to move in those direction to those face, and the same with all these faces. I think it's not very important because it's very small distance. Let's measure this distance. So this and this is 30 microns. So I think it's not very important. But if it's important, sometimes we need to do changes in our splits, like we do it on a previous model, to produce the good mesh quality. I don't use here the press pull tool, in reasons that if I use press pull, it tried to unite all model. Yep, you can change the preferences and do it without uniting, but we can do it with the move component, so I think it's not very important. Okay, so now I want to select those face and copy them. only face. And now I want to split my body with these faces. Okay. So now this object can be meshed with the hexa-core, but unfortunately we will have the problems that this face is much bigger than this, doesn't have any imprints, and we will have some big problems. So first of all, we use this mesh to cut, sorry, that's what I say, to cut the geometry, and then I use the same face with no merging option and do it till this face. So the same situation I need to do here, but unfortunately I haven't this possibility. So let's try to select this geometry. Let's select all these edges by double click and do something like that. So now let's show all, and this face okay, this face can be deleted, and we can use this face to split. Now split our body with those face. Nope, unfortunately it can't. So we do it in another way. Okay, yet another time. No, doesn't want. Split face. We need to do that. No. Okay, let's do it another way. We can do it in multiple way. Sketch. We don't need surfaces for this variant, but project to sketch. Okay, so Ctrl-C, Ctrl-E, as we say. Ctrl-C, Ctrl-E. Cut. Maybe I use the discover space claim not on the best way. I understand it, but I use it as I can. if you can better, it would be very great to hear your experience in the comment. So, maybe for person who use Ansys for their very long time, the phrase that he doesn't know is it effective way to work with space claiming discovery, it sounds unprofessional. I know. But even with those way that I use, I in most case produce a result which I want. So I try to use one. Okay, we produce this object. Now it's splitted with all faces. And let's renew our object. And if you're still here, maybe it can be interesting to you to support this channel or even whole project with the Buy Me a Coffee or Monobase. So the QR code are present here on the top, which you can use to this work, but just a moment, maybe we need to return to the main assembly, the common error. Unfortunately, I can't understand why Ansys still have this issue, why we always need to return to the main assembly if it can't work with the opened subassembly and parts in the right way. But in some sort of sense it works like that. So your help for the project will be very, very helpful. I know that it's a dumb phrase, but as I say previously, we are in the middle of the war, unfortunately, and I am the 20 kilometers from the front line. I can see the enemy from the window from my home, unfortunately, even if I don't want. And in my residential building where I live, there are a couple of holes in this building from the rockets and from the shells. It's too many objects. So yesterday it was at night long strike with about 500 of explosion in result of drone strike and missile strikes. Today night was more calm in some sort of sense, but it's very interesting to say. Invert visibility. Okay, so your support will be very, very helpful, because it's very difficult to create content and to work and to live in such terms and conditions. Suppress all other bodies. And it helps not only produce the content, but to create some very helpful project for defending country and so on. If you don't want to support this channel, you can support, if you want to help Ukraine, you can support some international organization or famous Ukrainian volunteers, depending on what want you help the army and our protection from the enemy, or you want to save civilian life or even animals, because everyone is struggling in result of war. So let's do some updates. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, or you don't believe, you can check the news about strikes in the Ukrainian city Kharkiv, about strikes in all other Ukrainian cities during this war. You can check all other information and understand. I have only one proposal. If you check the information and you think that Russia is right, please check your information twice. Not because we use a different propaganda, but because Russia always lies. I can say that Ukrainian government are always the white sheep and angels, and I can say that we are the angels, but we don't start this war. And this war was started unprovokedly and in breaking all international laws and all agreements between Russia and Ukraine, and everything which Russia, so-called Russian Federation, say about NATO and so on. It's so bullshit that it's even not funny. So, as we can see, we have here the hexa mesh, and it's not hexa-core, it's fully hexa. Yep, it's not perfect, and especially in some place like this. But as you can see, even with this type of splitting, it can produce the adequate mesh. And the only one thing we need to do is to create the adequate type of sharing topology. Maybe we can do some simplification. What type of simplification we can do? For example, we can delete some rounds or change it from the rounds, from the fillets, to the chamfer. It will not affect the main result here, but it will create more simple way to create mesh and so on. Additionally, you can split this object, for example, here, here, and something like on these stages, to create a more simple and more controllable mesh for every of this task. Also, you can split something like here to create more controlled way, and you can split these big faces and these small faces to smaller object. Every of these objects can be splitted in the way to obtain fully a hexa mesh without any sort of complex geometry, only with hexa volume. Here the same situation, so it's something like that. If you leave the rounds and fillets here, you will have some problem. We will talk about it later, but let's talk about this type of behavior. And you can create something like that one here to produce the full hexa volumes. And if you leave those rounds on those objects, you will have a very big problem in result of this places, because here we have the tangency, and in result of tangency we will obtain the very bad quality mesh, especially when we create the smaller mesh in a size. But we can produce here some other type of mesh geometry. It will not create the perfect geometry, but it will be not so bad as the previous. Something like that, for example. And if we create this one, it will be the perfect hexa-core mesh. And if you want to not create here the chamfer, because here you have some sort of hole, and this red variant have much more volume than the blue one with round, so it increases the stresses and so on. You can sometimes provide other arc here. It will be not tangent here. It will be the different radius from the red one, but it creates less sharper corner here, so you can solve this situation in a different way. And also you can provide something like this here. You can provide something like this here. It's we can provide the hexa-core mesh even with those complex places without any problem in a different way. If you want to see the variant of providing this full object into full hexa-core volume, please write a comment, and maybe if this comment will be not the one or with a lot of likes, I will produce for this part called 2905 the full hexa-core mesh with full splitting of all this geometry. So another part with the hexa mesh, and let's take a look on this one. It's not very interesting, it's look the same like previous. So yep, it's more difficult, but we do something like that for this object. So we need to left only 1/8 of this object. Split it and repeat. Everything will be very familiar, very similar to the this object. As we do it previously. So this object is 3218 form. This object, which we already do, we can open by this. Just a moment. Locate in tree. Yep. 6536 part. So if you want the previous one, please say. If we talk about this one, it's more similar for the gray one. So we simply split here, 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 we split here on these places. We split perpendicular to axis V in XY plane with those face. And so that's all. We can obtain the good quad mesh. If we want to create the full mesh, then we need to create additional splitting and so on by our hand. So we will do it, but it's not very interesting. So let's open the part which is very different, and very different part. It's this one. We have couple another parts, but as I see, it's very simple. So let's take a look to this part. It's not so simple. So first of all, we need to suppress those small fillets because they doesn't create any sort of useful information now, but it creates more difficult, more strange topology, which we need to split much more time. So first of all, as we do it on the previous video, let's unsuppress all other parts. Let's left only this type of object. I know that multi-zone here will not work. I hope. I know. Yep, it not work. We can try to create the hex dominant mesh just for laugh from the result. We can simplify the result of the mesh creation by creating virtual topology, by merging these faces into one face. We can merge it with the virtual cell approach and tools. And as you can see, it mesh and don't want to stop. So we have ended the first stage almost. We create a triangular mesh on the boundary faces. We convert these faces into quads. Now, but as you can see, it can have a lot of time, so it's more simple way to create the tetrahedron mesh with or without the patch conforming method. For now we create patch conforming method, so we will obtain the nodes on every edge. And this is the mesh which we obtain. And as you can see here, our face, and it creates the objects. Let's do the thing which I say previously. So we take a model, we push the virtual cell. It's already present in our geometry, so let's select this object, say merge cell, and let's merge on this face. But the opposite one we will not merge for better seeing difference between the result. Pixel hunting process. So as you can see, we create the new one and the next one. generate mesh. So as you can see, the mesh here is much more uniform and here has less division and much more in some sort of sense coarse, not coarse, but bigger size of mesh, and this is how it looked before. So this also here, the mesh, how it look here, we can see the elements on any edge and the mesh here, no edge at all. So as you can see, even these Lego parts can produce a lot of experience to a person who want to work with them. So virtual topology, I want to delete all virtual topology. Okay, so and let's return to our discovery. So first of all, nope, I want to delete those features from the fillets, from the rounds. We will obtain the sharp corner. Some of this sharp corner will not correspond, maybe, but we are lucky. Okay. The same situation here. And now we are not so lucky. So first of all, which is very simple to see, we have not corresponding places here. It's not a problem, but at present. And the worst one, we have these small steps, and these steps can't be fixed in a simple way. We can try. Nope. They don't want. Nope. We can do it in another way. We can delete this face, obtain this surface, split here, delete this small patch, and create the patch here. But come on, maybe it's more simple way to do something like that, or not. So this object we for now left as it present. This one we delete. This we delete. This we also delete. And maybe I need to return to this part with additional time, because we already streamed for this 3 hours, and it's quite tricky and quite hard for the mental in some sort of sense, and for the, I don't want to say brain, but for the head temperature. So maybe it will be more simple way to stop under a couple of steps and repeat it later if someone interested in this sort of stream. But let's try. So we try to split with those. Okay. With those object we split here and here, and now we can join these two objects. Sorry, something not combine. This object and this object. So first of all, second we can create here the face and split this object with this face to simplify our task. We can imprint and move it in this way. These faces here to split the cylindrical object, but we will not do it for now. Maybe we will do it later. So the next things, it's this and nope, here we can't do the same, but why not? Just a moment. We will use those two faces to split, to create a plane to split. So we split this object with this. Oops. Misclick. and these objects, and when we split those faces to obtain better result, we can merge face not only inside of the workbench, but we can do like this one, and we can do like this one. It's the same virtual topology tool, but inside of the discovery and space claim. And this one, I don't remember, will we have the small h here or not? I will feed you, but later. But now we have the corresponding mesh without any extra edges here, so we can split it and so on. Now just a moment, Ctrl C, Ctrl E. Ctrl C, Ctrl E. And Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So I use this one to create the cutting. And now I can merge, move it up to this face. So we create the object, and the last which we can do is to split this object with this and this face. Something like that. Now we can merge those three faces. Sorry. And those three faces. We will not split this object additionally. We can, but we will not. We need to split it with those faces, we need to split it with those faces, and those two faces are not on the same distance. We need to move this split here, and we need to move it up to the end, or make some transition. For example, here on a place where it's became wider. Sorry. And but for today it will be enough. So we return here, we update our geometry. Yep. We have lots of objects which we don't need. So let's create a mesh. Let's create a mesh for all these objects, and let's use the multi-zone method. Yet another time, these objects are not merged with the face they contact for now. So it's more simple way to create the hexa-core mesh. But it's long enough process. And our let's play with the Ansys need to be ended. So as you can see, it's almost perfect. So yep, here we have some problem with connection. We have different number of elements here, but it's normal. Here we can have we can move some nodes here, and our both meshes will correspond, so it's not a problem. Even here we have a very good mesh. Here this mesh are not correspond at all. On those two edges correspond, on those not correspond. That's why we need to make some transition, and it's became from the situation that these edges are very long, and it creates the smooth swept mesh from this face to this face, and for creating this smooth mesh, it need to make the same number of elements on those two edges, on a long edge and on a short edge. But on reasons that these objects are not connected to this, we doesn't have here the problem. As you can see, it also have good mesh here, not in reason of quality, yet another time, in reasons that we have only hexa elements here. So we can create some result for this mesh in couple tens of minutes, or in couple half of hours, maybe in couple hours, without any big problem. Yes, it will be maybe not from the first attempt, but it's not very difficult because we already have the mesh, and when we're watching on a place where it corresponds and so on, we understand that we simply can create smooth transition between those objects and split in a different way. So I hope it was maybe not funny, maybe not very interesting, but I hope it was helpful and useful, and you take something from this stream. If you like it, please thumbs up, share, write a comment with your question about this stream, about other. As I say, if you want to see the possibility to provide mesh for some parts for the total engine with the whole list of volumes of bodies which created as separated hexa objects as hexa volume, please write it, and I will try to produce it. Also, you can download this model, as I say on the beginning of the stream, this and previous, from the GrabCAD. It's a model which was created 13 years ago by my student. It wasn't created for the finite element analysis. It was created on the third grade with CAD lessons, but it's good enough even for the increasing skills for creating different meshes. And also, as I say previously, I would be very grateful if you support this channel with some donation, but it's on your side. So thank you and goodbye. Have a good days. Be safe. It is very important in our interesting life. Peaceful sky, as we say in Ukraine. So goodbye.